Alrighty, here we go. Game number 2 of the day. We're up against the Protoss, 5.7k MMR. $5.7k. My previous opponent was 5k, so it's a very significant jump. Now, one thing I've noticed from Protoss players over the last few days is that they are very glad to have the Oracle back. They recently hotfixed the Oracle. So Oracles basically had this thing where they would look at a different direction than they would shoot, and they were just unreliable to control. So every single Protoss player I've seen recently is like embracing their old friend. Not because it was bad previously, but because it's better again. Now, what I like doing against that Stargate opener is the Queen March. I mean, once again, playing more aggressively. The Queen March is incredible. Especially against Stargate openers. Don't think it's very good against the others. But I think I've only played one Zerg versus Protoss this week. And it's Saturday, right? I've only played one Zerg versus Protoss this week. Where the opponent actually went for a Twilight Council or a Robo opener. It was one of the two. But pretty much everyone's going Stargate right now. Stargate into Oracle. Oh, we actually also had a game where my opponent went for like a 2-base, 8 gateway all-in. Something like that. This guy's messing up my mining. What a jerk. Okay. He eventually messed up before I did. So I won the small mental game. King Jason, thank you for gifting us up there. I do appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. Alright, I need to know if there's a cybercore. There's a cybercore. He's not researching anything immediately. So, Stargate, 150 gas. Twilight Council and Robo, 100 gas. Generally speaking, if they're not researching something at this point, it means that they have decided to spend those extra 50 gas rather than on the Warp Gate upgrade on a Stargate instead, and then they get the Warp Gate a little bit later. So, it's about, I mean, not 90%, but it's a good chance right now that he did go for... Well, I would say actually 90% is fair. I mean, there are some varieties as well, but either that or he made a mistake, but considering it's 5.7k, I doubt it. Ooh, nice little bit of targeting there by him. Oh, that sucks. Okay. He's been juking and jiving. It's actually going to be able to get it out of there. Expecting the Oracle to show up here in a sec.
Donation accepted.
Hey, thank you, close to you. Ooh, very close. Oh, it's actually a prism. Wow, would you look at that? I don't know where the, oh, there it is. That is the third base gone, I'm afraid. He was flying in the direction of my natural when we last saw the prism, and then he made a beeline for my third base instead. That is a little bit frustrating. Losing that base, obviously, not great. Okay, now this is nice. An eye for an eye. Haha! Nicely done.
Okay. I was droning up behind that for a little bit already.
We require
Okay. I think I should just try and get a maxed out army, to be honest. I'm not gonna be able to do that. Running Zerglings right now all over the map, so hopefully we don't go down here to something random. Ooh, got the observer. Nice, 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 nice. Whew. Guys, I'm telling you, if you're struggling on the ladder...
New subscriber detected.
69, baby.
Hey, thank you, Benny. Appreciate the generosity, man. Thank you so much for the support. 69 months is an extremely long time. It seems like if you're struggling right now on the ladder with the recent changes that they've made to the StarCraft 2 late game, especially, so like the Broodlord Infestor style being much weaker and all that, playing more aggressively is like, it's a lot of fun, but it's also probably required, unless you feel confident in your late game control. I've been playing a lot more aggressively, and it's been working out much, much better. This was a solid game, right? I'm not really someone who usually plays Roach, Ravager, Ling, Queen push into Hydra Lurker. Like, that's something I would have never done a month ago. But we're winning against opponents that I wouldn't have won against either a month ago. So, can I walk you through the build? I certainly can, yeah. So, I was talking about how my opponent delayed his Warp Gate upgrade, right? I was a little bit confused by seeing that. Either he made a small error, which is certainly possible. But I looked at the Warp Gate research or at the Cybercore, and he didn't produce something out of it immediately. So I assumed that he was spending his gas on a Stargate. Right? So here's where the Cybercore finishes. Maybe I just misguessed. Oh. Alright, so he just took his gases at a bit of an odd time, I guess. Either that, or he was purposefully trying to trick me. Wait, what was up with these gases? I don't really know exactly at what time Protoss is supposed to take their gases either. So he's saturating it. Slowly. Very slowly. Yeah, I think he like changed his early game gassing for a bit. I'm not entirely sure how it worked. Anyways, he didn't have the gas to go for the Stargate at this point in the game. Usually, if you don't see the Warp Gate research immediately, it means that they are gonna go for a Stargate opener. That seems to be the case. I might have to, like, look into this a little bit more, if this is gonna be a common thing. But anyways, so I was assuming at this point it was gonna be a Stargate opener, which is the reason why I decided to go for the 330 Spore Crawlers. So 335 is usually what you want to get them at latest. Turns out it was actually a Prism. Now, this guy was playing very cleverly, right? So I see the Prism here, and he's purposefully routing it towards my natural, because he knows I'm seeing it. So he's purposefully sending it in the direction of my natural, which is where I expected it to go, and then he decided to, like, completely go to another location entirely. Pretty sure that was intentional, because I had my defenses sitting in the natural, assuming he was going to go over there. And then I ended up, you know, losing the third base because of it. If I would have known that this was a Twilight Council opener, or a Robo opener, I would have gone for the 330 Lair instead of the Spore Crawlers. But either way, it was okay. I made a lot of units there. So, decided to send them across the map. Found that adept from earlier that we almost killed. Got the kill on the third base. And right now, everything is kind of back down to 0, right? So this is kind of where the game stabilizes. Okay, so from here on out, I was mostly improvising because I've not really been in this scenario before. It doesn't usually happen that you lose the third base and the opponent also loses their third base. It's a little bit odd. So I've been remaking my third base. I know he was retaking his third base. So I decided, okay, you know what? If I want to play more aggressively, in like the nature of playing more aggressively, let's just do a push with roach speed as soon as that one finishes and go from there. And I decided, you know what? I've got 4 queens. Let's bring those as well. Don't really know exactly why I decided to bring the queens, but it seemed like the right move. I was a little indecisive here initially. Alright, Brenda start moving. One Brenda apparently stayed behind. And we actually get a pretty good trade. Now the thing is, when you're playing Roach Ravager, it's not a very microable unit composition. It's not like the Prism, you know? Like, you can't pick up units and then try and keep them alive and all that. So you can see here, worker-wise, I'm actually in a pretty terrible position. He's got 20 workers up on me right now. That's huge. So I need to deal damage. Now, I've got a lot of units obviously reinforcing this too, so I figured it was going to be fine. But even him losing this third base doesn't necessarily put me in the greatest position. So I don't know if this push was actually worth it. It threw him off of his game, I guess. Anyway, so I figured I'm probably not going to be able to break the natural. So I believe this is when I start droning again. Or at the very least, when I should start droning again. Instead, I'm doing nothing. Okay, even better. I'm doing nothing. Lowko, what are you doing? Okay, yeah, these 20 Zerglings should have probably been drones. Yeah, okay, finally. I start doing something again. So you can see my macro here. Not very good. Not doing a particularly good job as far as spending my resources go. I went all the way up to, like, what was that? Like 1,500? That's way too much. Way, way, way too much. Either way. Like, I guess the issue as to, like, I'm trying to think why I'm stacking up minerals here. The issue is that I'm not very experienced playing with the queens. And because of that, I'm, like, forced to make queens on the other side of the map again, and these are not hotkeyed, so I just gotta get into, like, this macro swing, I guess. Anyways, usually very difficult to break a Protoss. Maybe I could have done it, actually, if I just went full-on unit production, but I figured with shield batteries, with, like, you know, the Prism and all that, unlikely. Unlikely it's gonna happen. I've lost many, many, many games from this position, at the very least. Okay, so he stabilizes. And I'm obviously in a good position, but I think the biggest advantage I have at this point is tech. So I've got the Lurker Den finishing up, and he's still, like, you know, he's only just now starting up the next transition towards Templar Archives. Managed to slow down the third base once again, which is really nice. With leftover Zerglings that I had. And I'm mostly focusing right now on making army, because I'm assuming he's gonna retaliate and do, like, a big counter aggression. I see the third base coming up, once again get a kill. This is very lucky. Shouldn't happen. And then I get a little bit greedy. I figured he would fall for the same trick for the 7th time. Didn't quite happen. So I lose all those Zerglings for no reason. Greed, greed, greed. Anyways, so we get to the point where I once again have a pretty strong force. And I assume, like, so here's the thing. There's this weird dynamic between Hydra Lurker and what's it called? Immortal Archon Zealot. Because both of those unit compositions counter each other. I've had many games where I've got like lurkers and they are supposed to kill the ground army, but they get absolutely murdered. And sometimes it's the other way around, where like the lurkers absolutely shut down the Protoss army, and it's a little difficult to pinpoint exactly at what moment that is. I assume though, since I had the third base up and running for a while, that I just had more stuff. And also, most Protoss players get scared when they see the spines coming out of the ground, so they usually back off. Lurkers are kind of like a lion growling, okay? Like if you're facing off against a lion and it growls, you back off. You know, that's the purpose of the growl, right? You don't face them. That's kind of what lurkers do as well. Like everyone gets scared as soon as they burrow. I do the same thing in ZVZ. As soon as they burrow, you run. So at least that seems to be the case. I don't know if he could have committed there. Maybe he could have, but it would have been all in, so he didn't really want to. And then I'm like, you know what? If he wants to go home, and I was making units all that time, and I know he's delayed to third base for a very long time, let's push again. Let's bring the queens again. I'm liking the queens a lot, man. The queens are great. Really, really helps. So main reason for pushing here is because I don't want him to be able to... Oh, almost got the... I could have actually had the prism there. That would have been a game changer. Main reason why I want to push here is because, once again, I don't want it to go to the long game or to the late game where he goes up to, like, you know, Sky Tools and you know, High Templar and Storm and all that, because it just sucks to play against, with Zerg late game being what it is. It's doable, like, don't get me wrong, like, you can definitely win with Zerg late game, but it feels like you need, like, 700 APM. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I feel like you need, like, 500, 600, 700 APM in order to pull that off. And even though I like to think I'm a pretty fast player, I've been averaging, like, 361 this game so far, and currently spiking at 571. It's very hard. So I'd rather not play the late game. So instead, we decide to push, get the lurkers in a pretty good position. Queens once again zoning away in the back, super nice. They actually got a kill. Not bad at all. And from there on out, it's a pretty clean victory. That was a fun game though, that was really good. I'm happy to win. So someone made this yesterday. Play against maxed out Sky Tools or draw 25 cards. I would gladly draw 25 cards rather than face off against maxed out Sky Tools. It's technically doable, but it's very, very difficult. Did I use the F2 army hotkey there? Yes, I certainly did. So there are some moments here where I didn't. Like, for example, this final push, right? My opponent was threatening with that prism. This is where I'm not using the all army hotkey. I think the all army hotkey is very good if you know when to use it. So right now, this is not the moment to use it, because I need to have units at home in case the prism starts dropping. But as soon as I need those units, and I'm like, okay, the prism is home, I've seen it. So you can see right here, the prism flying here. As soon as I spot it on the minimap, I will be pulling those bad boys to the other side of the map as well. Well, I think I did anyway. Maybe I did in this game. Yeah, I did, eventually. So all army hotkey definitely does have its values, but you don't want to have it unless they're your fault. And obviously the queens also can't be on a... Like, they're not part of the all army hotkey, so you can't use them that way. Either way, fun game. I'm enjoying the lurker style a lot, actually. Lurkers are really fun to play with. Nice.